Os. Big us, everyone. Us to Shihan Sean. Us to Kyoshi, Jimmy Phillips here in Australia. Thanks so much for joining us. A special edition here. I trust everyone's well. Thanks for everyone's support. Great episode last week, Shihan Sean. Really appreciated your take on it. Great feedback, great responses, and things of momentum is building, like I said. So we cannot wait. Well, we have a special guest, and this special guest has been a big mentor of mine, and I'm sure has been a big mentor of Shihan Sean. And we wanted to bring this gentleman on because Kyoshi Jimmy Phillips, based in Sydney, Power Karate, was promoted, and we'll do a little golf clap here for his 7th Dan last month or two. So congratulations, a real special moment. Just quickly, I said I would break the introduction, but Kyoshi's been a part of my life for 23 years since I ever started. He's obviously very close friends with my Shihan Billy Polly, and I was fortunate to train with Kyoshi in Sydney. He took me under his wing for the tenure that I was doing my professional career work-wise. And I lived in Sydney for nearly 6 to 12 months, and Kyoshi just opened up his dojo door, and I was blessed to be taught under him under that time as well. And Shihan Sean, I'm sure you've got a reflection on Kyoshi and your years as well.
Us, thank you, Sensei. Yeah. Well, what I can talk about on air, I will. With a lot of pride. Yes, same as you. I've had a long-term relationship with Kyoshi over the years. Really started way back when we were all part of the Dengokai here in Japan, and we got together at the 2004 World Champs there in Shizuoka. Happy times, and from there the relationship just flourished, and every time I've had an opportunity to either train or be part of Kyoshi's endeavors, it's been a learning experience just to talk with the gentleman. But he's not entirely Aussies. He's a Kiwi first, a proud Kiwi, and so we hold that there in New Zealand, and we've been fortunate enough to be supported by him over the years too. Just recently, just a quick plug, there was a national tournament held by the Masoyama Karate New Zealand organisation that I belong to. Hanshi Doug Holloway running that. They ran a nationals, and Kyoshi took over a team that did very well there, took away a few medals in different categories. Great to see just how strong his dojo continues to grow and to produce absolute machines, for lack of a better word. And obviously his boy Nathan with his time with Judd as well. I mean, man, if you ever get a chance to train with Kyoshi and all of his fine instructors, you won't go away disappointed, that's for sure. So that's the plug I'm going to give.
Yeah.
It's great to see him again. Kyoshi, well done. Congratulations on the recent trip to Japan, not only in the sense of you going into a grading and successfully navigating that, but also just purely your hard work and determination to work with the World Zen Kyokushin organization and bring everyone together. And I mean, it's a joy to watch the fruits of your labor sort of coming to the forefront. Exciting times ahead, I'm sure, for everyone. So, yeah, on that note, perhaps Kyoshi might be able to give us a bit of background into your recent trip to Japan.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. One thing I'll say also, congratulations to you also. More promotion from Shihan Doug. Kancho Doug. So fantastic news, and congratulations to you, brother, because
congratulations, Shihan Sean. Well done. We were keeping it on the hush a little bit, but it was your night to chat, Kyoshi Jimmy. So we appreciate it. Kyoshi, how was the Japan trip?
Sensei Pat, it was fantastic. It's one of the best trips I've ever done. From the time I left Australia, I was a bit hesitant. Am I ready for this? It's been a lot of years since my last grading, obviously. And you know, like you still doubt yourself, even at my age, even at my level. I'm just like any other student. I still have those doubts, and I was preparing myself, you know, like for the last couple of years, and then got injuries and things like this, and that slows you down. And then just before I was to leave Japan, I had another foot injury and stuff like this, and I'm thinking, oh my God, you know.
Hmm. It's not old age. It's got nothing to do with old age. No. Sorry.
And pushing the temperature, mate. Nothing to do with like, yeah. So look, when I hit Japan, I knew straight away, you know, like, right, you know, this is it. And walking, you know, like as soon as I got off the plane and I hit Ikebukuro, booking into the Metropolitan Hotel, it took me back to 1979 when I first went to Japan. That was the first hotel we stayed at, the Australian team, along with all the other world representatives. So mate, fantastic.
That's a great start. I mean, just that. I was born in 1981, so but Kyoshi, all respect. I mean, you know, one thing I wanted to bring up, and again, we're on a time limit here for everyone to understand. So, you know, Kyoshi, I think one of the interesting parts that I'd want to ask you, and I mean it with all respect here, was I've got a photo with you and I at an Anglesey camp when I was like a yellow belt. It was about 2003 maybe, and you were a sixth dan. And I guess, you know, these questions do pop up within, you know, environments and just students asking as well. And for everyone's knowledge of like this, what this show is to share everyone these different chapters and journeys and reasonings behind what's going on. So Kyoshi, you got your sixth dan then. You did have an opportunity pre-COVID to potentially grade in Japan under Sashi Hassegawa, but then COVID happened, 2021, 22 happens, and then we went into Japan. All of a sudden, you know, 3 to 4 years on a timeline slides by, and your age obviously does as well, and you're in that moment. But that journey from a sixth dan to a seventh, and again for Shihan Sean here, just getting his recognition, which is fantastic. How do you what is the status of the sixth dan, and then also in working towards a seventh, and working meaning, of course, you never ask for a grade, you just continue doing what you've been doing, excelling your dojo, growing it. How was your chapter in that? How could you summarize nearly 20 odd years on a sixth dan towards your seventh?
Yeah, look, you know, I mean, like probably like yourself and like Shihan Sean, is that, you know, you come into class every day, you teach, you know, you try and make a big difference in the world with students and your dojo and what you're putting out there. And then, you know, I mean, like, you know, for me, it's not about me, it's about the students and about trying to pass on the knowledge that we already have. And then trying to make life not hard, but as simple as we can, but make it like Sosai said, make it truthful, you know. So those things mean a lot to me, and to take that step from sixth dan to seventh dan, it really was a big step for me, because I was thinking, you know, like, as I say, you know, the doubts are always there. Am I good enough for this? And the other thing is, you're looking at your peers, you know, people that are already seventh dan, like, you know, like Hunchy Doug Holloway, you know, and we're talking about, you know, we're looking at the people back in Japan and stuff like this, you know, that I mean, like, there's great people out there that are still like fourth and fifth dans, you know. I can mention a few, like even on Australia, like Peter Graham and, you know, Nicholas Pettis, for instance, you know. And I mean, these are great fighters, and great fighters, and they've done so much for Kyokushin. But then when I look at my history, I can see this was my time to move.
Right.
I think the COVID had a lot to do with that. So a lot of rethinking about my life and things like this, about training too. And, you know, like in New Zealand, like we have this so-called things called kaumatua, which means, wise old man. That's where I feel, that's where my life is now. So as a kaumātua and as a seventh dan, and that's why I took on the role of Kyoshi, meaning polished teacher. In Japanese, it means polished teacher or like professor.
Yes.
That's why I took on that role.
Kyoshi, and I mean, it goes into the language and stuff like that, but just the way you define it and the way you're able to blend the Maori culture with the Japanese culture there too is a lesson in itself, because my recent promotion to Rokudan, when you talk about peers, when you talk about your elders, this is one thing that's going to be a daunting process for me moving forward, is that how do I add value to the trust that's been given in me by being awarded that rank? And so I always compare myself to those people that are already at that rank or have been at that rank, and I think, oh, how the hell can I be in the same line? You know what I mean? So for me, that journey is now something where I seek to add value to it and do it justice, and it's going to take a long time to do, but that's the process there. So I mean, to see people like yourself finally being recognized for, and it's not just your expertise in Kyokushin in terms of skill, it's also all of the history. Another Maori word that we use in New Zealand is a word called mana. Okay, and to simplify it, it's the aura you project, and it's an aura that is all encompassing, and it's not just a wow factor, it is your determination, your integrity, and your spirit, and acting as a role model. So I mean, to see Kyoshi being recognized for all of that is something that motivates me, because then I can look further and say, okay, well, right, I want to be as close to that as I go through my next journey as possible. So your words hit really powerfully there, Kyoshi, so thank you for that. What was it like anyway? Can you tell us about the day itself, or the whole trip?
Okay, so getting to Japan, okay, then we had the next day we had a meeting, and then we were bused to Mount Mitsumane.
Awesome.
For 2 days preparation towards the grading. Now, I forgot how hard and how big those stairs are at Mitsumane. The ones you can climb up. Oh my God. Anyway, like I had Shihan Lance McGuinness was there as well, and his knees are shot. The poor old bugger, he had to have a couple of people on each side of him helping him up these big stairs, and then helping him down, and this and that. And to tell you one thing, like even my knees aren't the best, okay, and I've had a total knee replacement on one side, and I felt it, and and I'm feeling fairly strong, right? So going up and down those stairs, like, and we're not talking about 20 or 30, we're talking hundreds of stairs, to get up and down that mountain. And one of the things I looked around, as I said to one of the Shihans, I said, oh, I think it was maybe Shihan Nitsu, and I said, oh, look at this. I said, it's 2023 and you guys still haven't put a lift here yet.
Well,
and honestly, it was amazing to see how many elderly people, Japanese people, were still doing this climb. I mean, most of them, like they look like they were in their 90s, their late 90s, some of them, and they were still doing this climb up the mountain. So it was actually a fantastic thing for me, okay, to make it to that camp, to Mitsumane. Then we got to the camp, we signed in, like we got prepared and stuff. We had our first training session. with Sashi, and yeah, we went through all the basics. We went through a lot of movement, like Edo Gecko and stuff like this. A lot of partner work. That was our first session. Then the second session covered, like a bit of kata, like a kata, and again, Sashi's a big person on kumite, so he loves his kumite, and he's always teaching us how to get faster and better at things. So, like the development, as Sensei Pat on his Maigiris and his Mooshigiris about opening up the hips and opening up the chest, and this was really, really predominant on the camp. And it all led to the grading on the day back in Tokyo.
I think, a good segue there. How was your spine tingling moment walking back into Hombu? And when was the last time you had set foot back in Hombu?
Oh, look, yeah. Look, the last time would have been when Sosai was alive.
Yeah.
Sosai was alive. I think it was not actually 94, the year before he passed.
Yeah.
So I was one of the ones that did the last camp with him. That was for my fifth dan. And look, I walked in there just to walk in the building or stand outside the building was a great honor. Like I walked. It's funny, like every time I go to Japan, I actually lose my bearings a bit, like which way is which and stuff. But when I was at Ikebukuro at the Metropolitan, I looked out my window at the hotel and I could see the park. I could see the park, and I knew straight away where I was. I said to Shihan, come on, we're going to Hombu. We're going to go down and have a look. This is before the camp. So I arrived a couple of days earlier. So I walked down there and, I got outside Hombu. I started taking photos, and then I thought, no, this is no good. So I started practicing kata in that little park.
Oof.
I had, a couple of days of practicing kata outside Hombu. I didn't go inside Hombu at that time. I just waited for, Sashi to come to Japan. Back to Tokyo before we went there. It kind of the emotions were mixed. I had very, very mixed emotions about looking at Hombu the way it is, and then memories of the uchideshi and everybody washing their gis outside on the street and hanging them up outside, and then running around the streets, training in the parks, all that type of thing come flooding back to me. So that was really like it was kind of like, here we go back to the stage of, am I good enough for this? Am I in this right stage now, like of my life to actually keep up tradition and and the honor of Sosai as well,
And so when the grading was starting to have, now let's talk a little bit about the grading. I mean, you've been through many, you've seen many, you've run many. And again, with the evolution, I guess, is the word that I can probably use in regards to, again, respectfully, my age and the experience that you both have on me. But how did you see, you didn't have to run this grading, Kyoshi. No. This is probably the first one that you haven't had to, this is you, going for it. How was again, you've gestured your mindset on it, but how did you feel?
You know what? Well, okay. So, yeah, that's a funny thing, like when you run your own gradings and you're involved in gradings and things like this, like you work hard, like your mind works hard, your body works hard. But when I was in this grading, as soon as I walked into Hombu up those stairs, I bowed onto the floor. I felt reborn. I honestly felt reborn. I thought, this is my spot. This is my. I looked around. I walked around inside the dojo and stuff. I felt the wood, feeling that old wood under your feet again. The sweat, the blood, the tears, things like that. Like that all come running back to me as well. So flooding back. So that was really cool. And
how did it start? How long did it go for? And of course, a good explanation of again the rounds / kumite component of the grading, and giving us all a bit of an idea because of, again, your age and your level and so forth?
So from, from the basics, so we work the basics. From the basics, we've gone straight to kata, and so the grading itself was 6 hours.
Wow.
All right, so from kata, all right, so all senior kata, so everyone had to do all, all of us had to do senior kata, and then, Sashi was very, very strict on kata.
Right.
Shihan Gong, and he was attempting to do his 7th dan as well,
right.
And he actually pulled out because, the standard wasn't there for him.
Of course.
This is what I loved about Sashi. His standard is very, very high.
Awesome.
And he keeps it up there. And it doesn't matter who you are.
Mm.
It doesn't matter who you are. What you've done. And Sashi's words were, "You are not here to get a dan. I will not give you a dan. You have to work for it."
Mm-hmm.
Through his exact words. So true to everything, he ripped into us quite a few times. He stopped the gradings, because it wasn't strong enough for him. He wanted spirit, more kia, things like this.
Mm.
In the kata, he wanted the stances lower. He wanted the kicks higher. So he put that pressure on you right from the start.
Yes.
Well, I'm already shaken.
I think that's a great thing, because he's been like that. I remember my Kyokushin journey started in Japan in 1990-ish, 89, 90. I was in Nagoya, Hassegawa Shihan, he was Shihan back then. So we're going back 30 odd years. So he's in his, mid 40s. He was an absolute animal. I love the guy, and I respect him, and I say this respectively. But he hasn't lost it. That's what I'm going to say. And he demanded that, and it didn't matter even if it was a done or as a Q grade. If he wasn't happy with the quality being produced, he would pull people off the floor and say, "Not your day." But the great thing about Sashi is that he gives you brutally honest feedback there and then. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, but he doesn't leave anything a mystery. He'll say, "This is what I want, and you're not producing it, so this is what you need to do, and come back and try it again." So that's something he's held on to over the years. He's mellowed a lot, but still demands. And as you say, Kyoshi, it's all from that spirit that you show, and that spirit will come through in your technique, in the strength you produce. So he doesn't want anyone holding back or sort of, pacing themselves. He hates people pacing themselves. So it's great to hear that that's something he still, holds very true. So, yeah, well done. One
of the things I'll say, even when Soso was alive, Soso would always start a class with a talk. Remember, right? So he used to make you sit and says, and you'd be down there for like half an hour. So that wooden floor, and be trying to move to get comfortable and things like that. And Sashi is exactly the same. Exactly the same. He gives you that talk before you start, right? And he knows you're in pain, but he doesn't care. Right? And it was really like for me, can I say, when I came back to Australia, right? Again, I was so, I don't know, I felt like I was 19 again.
Yes.
Full of ideas, full of freshness, and I had this
reinvigorated.
Yeah, it was fantastic. You know what? And I forgot about all the aches and pains because we never discussed it. You know what? Sashi would just say, "Get on with it."
Yes.
I'm not worried. Right? Do it. Just get on. So yeah, that's the type of person he is. He does not worry about anybody's injuries, and if you have an injury, he doesn't care anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Kyoshi, so we saw Sensei Colin, now Shihan Colin, he did 50 rounds. There was Shihan from Japan, and we mentioned it in our last show. Yatsu, I think Yatsu, he did 60 rounds. How was all of that, energy in that time? Because like these types of grading and commitments, at the end of the kumite, if you get knocked out, if you have an injury, halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, it's still touted as fail / you haven't completed it.
Totally. Look, with Colin, Colin Shuffle, he did a fantastic job. Honestly, he, and honestly, the Japanese representatives, they were really inspired by him, because basically, you know what, he was, when you looked at his technique, it was just a reverse punch he was using, but kept the Japanese at bay because it was so fast and so effective. Shihanitsu, Yoniyama, all these guys were technicians, and I tell you what, and they had a hard time against them, and I was on that floor with him, and I was like, come on, keep going,
Awesome.
Keep it sharp, keep it going, don't waste energy, right? Because we knew those rounds, would be really long and hard for him. But I have to say, Sensei Patrick, your training, actually, because Colin told me that he had been training with you.
Yeah.
Shihan Lance told me that you got him prepared, and what a fantastic job you did. Fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
that was,
you, my friend, because you did a fantastic job on that.
Yeah, I shared it last week. It's overwhelming, but I just have that, I love the instinct of that coaching that all of you guys have always supported me with, and always, like yourself, Kyoshi, you've always shared a trick or two or a moment or a nugget. Shihan Colin came down, and I mean, it's a 2.5 hour drive to get to my dojo from where he lives, so his commitment was way above, and then from a third dan to help a fourth, fifth dan, it was an honor, as they say, just an absolute honor. And it was all the tips and tricks that Shihan Billy showed me, that you've spoken to me about, that everyone has always guided me on. And when you fight the Japanese, or when you fight Europeans and other nations, we all have different styles, and we always would go to, like I said, we'd always go to these tournaments and come back with a better version or a new version. And I would call it it's like the iPhone. You got the iPhone 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's same, type of concept. I say there's a theory from Coach Conor McGregor's coach. Update the software, take care of the hardware. And the software is our knowledge, our tips, our tricks. Why are they positioned with their shoulder this way? Why does Shihan Takuma always have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of different positions and points, and all those things that we've done in my journey? It just comes out.
Well, actually, Sensei Pat, that's the thing, and this is all goes back. There's a couple of things I've just taken away from both of your comments there, and so I'll go to yours first, Pat, and that's Takuma's notes. Now, I've seen Takuma since a green belt, and he was the skinny young lad back then, but still would just hit like a horse. But Sashi would make us all take notes. So he would run regular workshops, not just our regular training, but he would get people together from all the different dojos and run a 2-day workshop on the weekend. And one thing he'd tell you to bring is your pads, etc., but also a notebook and a couple of pens, because one's going to run out. And he would go through different stages, and then you'd say, okay, write it down. But all those different points, that's Sashi. He would write it all down, and then people would just frantically copy it and then try and absorb it and produce it and internalize it. So that's a custom or a habit that he's instilled in all of his black belts. Then going one step back further, and as Kyoshi has said, obviously the preparation before going to Japan for the Godan grading, which was 50 fights. Can I just say that in Australia and New Zealand, for those that know their history, the first person to complete a 50-man kumite in our, down under patch was Kyoshi. So he set the bar. Yep. He set the bar by doing that, and that was something to head towards. You've done it. I did it for my Godan in New Zealand in 2016. Recently, back in New Zealand, one of our senseis back there, Sandan Calvin McSkimming, the executive said, well, why wait till Godan? If anyone, would like to take that on as a challenge, expecting no one to really put their hand up. Within 30 or 40 seconds of them suggesting it, Calvin goes, yeah, I'll give it a go. So he did the Gojunin Kumite, or the 50-man Kumite, at a camp a couple of two or 3 years ago now, just for the sake of doing it. But what I will say is that Kyoshi, you're the one that started that all. It wasn't just this mystique that went on in Japan. You're the one that got out there and proved it could be done. So, I mean, there's the history in it in itself. Yeah. But I think we prepare, because people have done it before us, we've got all these people as a point of reference and we can go to for advice. So, yeah, to add on to what Kyoshi said, Sensei Pat, what you're providing with your clinics and stuff, giving them that initial experience of putting themselves out of their comfort zone, and it's a mental as much as a physical thing, is a great addition to that legacy that's been started way back when Kyoshi first did it.
Yeah, 1986, Tony Bowden, Luke Gurovic, and Gary Vickers, and myself.
Yes.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is that this year we have a camp in Narrabeen, the Narrabeen Institute of Sport. So in October this year, I'll be holding a camp there, our national camp, and this is where we did our 50-man kumite. So again, these things mean a lot to me, it's like history repeating itself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, one thing I do want to discuss with you guys is now in Japan, when you're doing a black belt, they do 10 fights.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 10 fights, and they're like 10 fights, and you do Nidan 20, 30, it goes up, and you think, well, as you get older, how come they're making you do more fights? Shouldn't they do less? Like here, but the mentality in Japan is, I think, as you get older, they want you to feel stronger or something like this. I'm not sure. Maybe Sean can,
Yeah, well, I mean, way back when, and I talks with Shihan Yui, for example, when he was an Uchideshi, and he was, a runabout for Sosai for many years, and he was the Dawn Master. I remember him talking about that, way back in the day, Kumite only went to Sandan, and then everything else was without Kumite, right? And then it was Sanpe and Nakamura Shihans that said, oh no, they went to Sosai and said, oh, we'd love to be able to test ourselves a bit more. Can we slap another 10 fights on and do 40 for Yondan? And then when they went to go do Godan, they said, well, can we do 50? But I think, from all of the gradings I've experienced in Japan, and I've talked to Sensei Pat about this before, it's pretty much tournament style kumite, and back in the day we used to have these wooden little pieces of wood that if you drop that, you got points taken off. There was wazari, there was ippon, etc. But people were going out there to absolutely maim you. It wasn't a matter of making it through the 10 fights. It wasn't a matter of making it through the 30 fights. You had to excel. So as people got older, they started to fight in a smarter way, and they knew their own style, so they were able to put that into their endurance work as well and fight smart. And so that was the next challenge, was how can they stay in that smart space for a longer time, and that was part of their personal growth. So that's where that challenge has been added on over the years. And then, I mean, it used to just be to Godan, but now many of the factions are saying, well, no. Even the Engokai, I mean, when Shichinohe and Tabata Shihans, when they did their Hachidan, they did 80 fights.
Hey?
Yeah. Wow. Now, I wasn't there at the grading, so I don't know what kind of 80 fights they were. But it certainly wouldn't have been tournament-like 80 fights. But still, they were on the floor for 80 different fights. You know, so each faction has a different sort of view on it, and they might throw that in. Some don't. But, you know, each to their own. But it gets back to, you know, if the head of that faction thinks you're capable and they want you to push yourself, they're going to make you do it. But it's not the number of the fights, it's the quality of it and what you display in it. You know, you could do 3 fights, you do 300 fights. But if they can see enough of how you've progressed and developed and how, you know, much more of a complete Kyokushin karateka you've become, then they will decide on, you know, the number of fights that you need to do in line with that. So, I mean, it's, you know, each to their own, but there's some interesting developments in that area, yeah.
Kyoshi, you hinted, again, that rejuvenation and that energy. And I was telling Shihan Sean, I chat to you each week, and I could feel your momentum. I could feel this energy, you know, coming off you. And I was like, wow, man, this is great. You know, this is like the Energizer Bunny is back again. You know, it felt awesome. How, when the grading had been completed, in Japan, what was the feedback, and then what have you taken from it personally?
Okay, so I'll just take a step back to the fights, back to the kumite. Now, like as you know, Sean was saying, like that the kumite, it wasn't the bash trying to maim. It was a lot of endurance hitting, like it was fast. It was really fast work. So, you know, like it was just bang, 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 non-stop. Okay. If the rounds were for 1 minute, they were just 1 minute rounds, but they were continuous rounds of just fast action. Right? When I was doing my fights, I would just bang, bang, and and then Sashi's, you know, like ease up a bit, pull back a bit, right? More combination, more technique, you know. So in Australia, we tend to sort of go for that maiming, you know. Like I remember when you went for yours, you had Billy on one side telling you what to do, and I was on the other side telling them how to get you.
Yin yang, mate. Yin yang. Starsky and Hutch, I called them. I had Starsky on this side, Hutch on the other side. And then I had Sashi Hassegawa saying, move more. Then Kyoshi's like, don't move too much, mate. Settle down so we can get oh, shit. Yeah.
But I can honestly say, look, you know, those fights, they were fantastic. They were fantastic to watch. The combinations, the technique, so crisp and so sharp. And right up to 60 fights. You didn't see anyone not throw crisp technique, not throw soft technique, you know. It was all bang, 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 bang. And I mean, like, if you weren't holding that breath properly, you would be winded or you sweat if you weren't in the right stance. You could see there was enough power to take you down and enough power to knock you over.
Awesome.
Right? But not completely knock you out, you know. Would you out with a front kick or something like this, or an inside, you know, maybe, you know, like sweep the legs out. But yeah, mainly they worked the body a lot, and they're throwing things up to the head, but they were actually pulling them. They weren't throwing them, you know, full on.
Well, that's a great development because, you know, back in the day when we used to have to hold those little wooden pieces, the strategy was you would go out and you would actually try and score a wazari-worthy technique or an ippon technique by knocking someone on the ground. And if you knocked them on the ground, that ended the fight. So if you could do that in the first 30 seconds, you didn't go for a minute and a half. That fight just went for 30 seconds. So it was a different strategy. So now, as Kyoshi's saying, the way Soshi has created it, he's looking for a higher level of proficiency and endurance coupled together. And it's easy to go out and do the big bash if you're strong and powerful and know where to land your shots. But that pure sort of blend of physical and mental to keep crisp, quick, powerful, but also controlled technique is a new way of, I guess, determining at what level each of the grade E's are at. So it's great to see, yeah.
Yeah. And just saying that, Sean, is that, Sashi is like, because he was not a heavy person, he was a lightweight, like a very light person when he was fighting in his day, but he was sharp. He was sharp. Of fitness, and I mean, you could see the movement in him, like seeing old footage of him fighting and stuff like this. He was very, very strong, but very sharp, right? And I mean, like, he's looked at that, and I think, he's looking like, can I say that when I did the 50-man kumite here in Australia, is that you did the full, continuous 1.5 minute per round, regardless of whether you got a knockdown or not. You just going. The guy got up, you get another one, you get a fresh person. So they just kept it going. They didn't say, oh, Wazari, Bond, or whatever.
Yes.
So, yeah, so it has changed quite a lot, like it has. And I'm not sure where, like, both groups run two different, like the tournament side of it. But I actually like the way that Sashi's running it, because to me it's more technical.
Yes.
The signal. Yeah.
So, I guess, as we head towards the end of the conversation, what's next then? What's the next the vision that you've taken away from not just training but your time? Yeah, I mean, what comes next for you personally, and I guess what comes next for World Zen Kyokushin?
Because now being a Santan, and also Sashi granted me the status of Oceanic Chairman, which was the title of Hanshi Eddie Emin.
Yes.
But Hanshi is now semi-retired from that, so I've stepped into his shoes as the chairman. So my ambition now is to build up World Zen Kyokushin in Australia, New Zealand, like have that strong bridge between Australia and New Zealand, and also start looking outside, maybe Fiji, Tonga, start looking at those areas as well. Yes. So we've got a strong base in Australia. We've got a strong, and we've got a strong base with, New Zealand with monks, like with you guys. So ideally, like we'll be looking at, trying to get World Zen Kyokushin established over there somehow, like have our own dojo, our own setup over there, and then as I said, like that would be my next thing, and then I suggested to Sashi, okay, every year what I'm going to do in Australia and hopefully in New Zealand is have a tournament called a Hassegawa Cup.
Oh, nice.
Everything that belongs to World Zen Kyokushin will have a tournament of some sort called our Cup. And what he's doing for us, as our advisor person,
I think it's a nice recognition of establishing a Hassegawa Cup that recognises all of the blood, sweat and tears that he's put into it, as one of Sosai's original students who was training with Hanshi Doug Holloway when Hanshi was in Japan as well. So there's that history, that legacy. He's a living legacy in himself. The beautiful thing about Soshi is he's very devoted to maintaining Sosai's legacy and not tampering with it, but adding to it, but maintaining that, I think, powerful foundation that Sensei created for us all. So he's trying to, and you can see that in his interactions with different factions now too. He's said we can have our own little corners of the sandpit, but we can learn to play in a bigger sandpit together and respect our differences, as long as we're all focused on maintaining Sensei's legacy and not tampering with it, but adding to it and not taking anything away. So to give him that kind of recognition by naming a tournament, after him, I think is motivating for him as well. So it'd be great to see the development.
Gentlemen, I suggest this was one of the suggestions I said at the meeting, at our international meeting, and he straight away said, "Oh no, 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 no." He said, "No, no, Hassegawa Cup." No, he says, "I don't want." We need, I told him it's what we need, okay, to put World Zinc Kyokushin on the map. This is like we're looking at a bigger platform here. Yes. I to say again, thank you very much for taking your time.
Yeah.
Look after us and also keep the legacy of Sensei.
Yes. Great summary, Kyoshi. Really cool. Kyoshi, you mentioned your camp while we finish up here. For those that are listening, mostly obviously Australian, a bit in NZ, but there's more listeners, isn't there, Shihan Sean, across the US and UK and Europe. Kyoshi, you've got your camp, Narrabeen Institute of Sport, October 20, 21, 22. Give us a bit of a minute summary here on what you're focusing on and how you're going to. It's invite to all organisations.
Oh, it's open, yeah. So our camp is going to be opened up to all organisations. We're not closing it off to just World Zinc Kyokushin. No way. No, we want anybody that wants to learn, anybody that wants to come along. Family, right? We're inviting families to come along. Okay, we've got a great price, right, for students, family. The accommodation is like hotel. Honestly, it's not one of these camps where you rock up and you've got bunk beds and stuff like this. Every suite, right? Every suite has 5 beds in it, right? So you can have family rooms, plus they have their own suite for toilets and showers. Right, so there'll be something different. Now, the Institute of Sport, this is just to give you a bit of an idea. So it is used as the Olympic Training Centre here in Sydney.
Yeah, state of the art
facilities. Right, world class, as in we've got the swimming pool there. We've got Manly Sea Eagles. We've actually been offered to use their dojo. Yeah, right. So matted out. This is where Manly Sea Eagles, right, the rugby league team in Sydney, right, have their own dojo where they do their grappling and their wrestling, and that's been offered to us as well.
Wonderful.
There you go. It's going to be a special date. There'll be more information. I'm helping Kyoshi with it as well. And Rosie's partner. So look out for that.
Sean.
Us.
My friend. Us.
There you go.
Good to have you, and if you have any of your students, you're most welcome.
Us. Thank you, Kyoshi. Us.
Out to New Zealand as well. I'm sending that back out to New Zealand. Can I just say a little bit about the New Zealand tournament as well before we finish off? So I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
So he passes, and that's Nathan Phillips on the front cover. All right, so that's when they had their big match. So that was the last time. That was the last tournament we had in New Zealand, I think, before COVID.
Us.
This year was held in Christchurch, and mate, what a fantastic job they did. They did a fantastic job. The fights themselves, unbelievable. My lightweight girl, Jade, was a Japanese girl where they fought for 3 rounds. She lost on a decision there. And then she fought for a 3rd place where they did 4 rounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, 4 rounds. So you imagine this? 4 rounds. And each fight Each fight was like that all the way through. So they didn't give a decision on the first round. Basically, on the first round, if it was close enough for a draw, they went draw.
Yeah,
right?
right.
So yep. Right. So New Zealand was like, really concentrating on producing good fighters. And mate, honestly, they were good. What I noticed, and I said to my guys there, I said, listen, the Kiwis, I said, they've been working on their front kicks, on their Maigaris. They've got this snap kick that just comes out really, really sharp. Right. And one thing you notice about the Kiwis fighting, they're like a tank. They just keep coming forward. And I mean, like, this is where we're trying to use angles and things like this to turn them, like to move offside.
Yeah.
And Jacinta did a fantastic job like that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, Jacinta just like she had that one right from the start. She did a fantastic job. Again, using the angles and using the technique. Our boy Clement, right, our Uchidesh boy here in Australia, he had 2 knockouts, first rounds, right?
Awesome.
So those 2 fighters, he had both roundhouse kick knockouts.
Wow.
Right. And I mean, the final with the middleweight, a guy called Sage.
Yeah.
Has improved so much. I was more of his technique. He dropped our guy with a front kick, a Maigiri, that was so solid and so hard. Our boy couldn't get up for at least 2 minutes.
Oh, dear.
Boss.
How good.
So Sage is an up-and-coming fighter. He's Sensei Calvin's boy. I can remember Sage as a cheeky little yellow belt in 2016. So Sensei Pat, when you were here for the Kyokushin World Tournament, so a big group came over from New Zealand, and
yeah, right.
There's this guy running about just in awe of just being in Japan, and man,
Yeah,
he come of age. Yeah, he's a tough southern man from the deep south, and they breed them pretty strong down there. But it's nice to see him actually doing what he loves, and he's doing a bit of kickboxing as well. So he's got a nice sort of blend there as well. So it'll be a bright future, and I think a very heavily competitive, great rivalry between Australia and New Zealand moving forward, because the quality of fighters coming out of both countries is just something to enjoy. That's for sure.
Next year, actually, I tell you, honestly, Sensei Pat, you've got some good middleweights, and I tell you what, they're gonna,
All right.
We'll keep it hidden. We'll keep it hidden. I'd say
That's cool.
That they had karate competition as well. And our Jade from World Zinc Kyokushin, she took out the black belt kata.
Awesome.
Very interesting, because she did the kata so well. She was up against Shihan Mark from Christchurch, and he was at, I think, right. So my thoughts, when he got up to do his kata, I think he was still thinking about her kata, because he lost it. He couldn't move. It was that good. All right. So yeah,
that's cool.
Mark, he just did. He had nothing. So Joe got a toss. Yeah, she did a fantastic job, and she did Seipai.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Seipai, and she did it 3 times, and each time was better and better.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Yeah. Sashi Doug, he was commenting, wow, he said, geez, fantastic, He absolutely loves their kata, so yeah. So again, congratulations to New Zealand, though. That was a fantastic show. And again, you know what? The Kiwis are so good at the sayonara party. They know how to party better than us, Patch.
Oh, man.
All right, yeah. And that is why we're going to win the Rugby World Cup. There we go, because we know.
He's pushing it. He's pushing it. Yes. Kyoshi, we've taken a lot of your time. What a fantastic chat it's been. Amazing to hear it firsthand, as they say. And truly a massive congratulations on your promotion. Well deserved. Shihan Sean as well. Congratulations on your 6. We were keeping it a little bit on the hush, making sure it was Kyoshi's night, but we will chat further about your promotion, to be brutally honest. We look forward to that. But Shihan Sean, you got anything else to add to finish off?
No, just thank you once again, Kyoshi, for your time. It's always great to hear your perspective on how things have developed from, the past until now, what the future holds. That's inspirational in itself. Lots of exciting things coming up, the camps and all the other ideas you have. So I look forward to, being part of and also, watching your journey from here on in as well. So, thank you for your time.
One of the things I'll finish off with you, Shihan Sean, is that I spoke to Hunchy Doug and Mike Kenworthy, just a group, and we kind of got together and we thought about having an ANZAC camp, New Zealand international camp. That would be really cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice bomb there. Nice leaving us with that one. That's great. Kyoshi, thank you so much. Thanks, Shihan Sean. Real special chat as always. Took a lot out of it. Listeners, I trust you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening again. And keep training hard. Big us to everyone. The secret is sweat. Thanks, everyone. Big us. Oh, Kyoshi, go. Oh, the boss. No shit. See?
There he's off.
The right thing. Look what happens. Hold on, team. Hold on. He's ran. He's gone.
He's not going to get a fire extinguisher.
Look at this.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nice.
Big certificates. There we go.
You got him done up. Good on him.
Fresh on the wall now. So
nice.
The dojo put nothing on the walls. All right, so now I've decided that I'm going to start putting all my certificates and everything, all memorabilia, back inside this dojo.
Yeah. Kyoshi's got a beautiful stairway for everyone. If you look in his dojo. Do you mind? Yeah, because he's on his phone. Watch this, everyone. This is great. Check this out. You want some memorabilia and you want a reflection of his nearly 50 years in Kyokushin. Check this out. Go for it. Walk us through it there. Just go through it all. Look at this.
I thought you were talking about mana.
Us. Oh, there we go. Yep. Beautiful.
Yeah. Going back to Graham Rose's day.
Nice. Oh, there we go. Dolph, yeah.
This is all my memorabilia. So, here.
Us.
Colin's 7th Dan belt.
Oh, us.
To me as well. Yeah. So here we go, guys. Look, 30th of Jan, 1987. That was the 3rd Dan. Right, here we go. Here's 2nd Dan, 84.
Oh, cool.
Shodan.
Wow.
So, a lot of things here. So, Sean Bobby Lowe. Commonwealth tournament.
Yeah, cool, huh?
Isn't that good? Yeah.
I spent an hour just looking at everything and reading it all.
Yeah, if I went there, I'd say it'd have a couple of things missing off the wall by the time I left.
How cool. There you go.
Yeah, so excited, guys, that all this stuff's going to go back in the dojo now.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Good on you. Awesome.
Colin, there's your 50, man.
Us. Oh, the old Blitz magazine. That's going back, yeah.
Isn't that a great magazine?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Us, Kyoshi.
Thank you
so much.
Sensei. Shihan.
Us, thank you, Kyoshi. Us.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Appreciate it.
Yeah, take care, guys. Us.